It's Wednesday. You guys know what that means. You guys are going to take over the show a little bit later on. So go ahead, start lining those comments up. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comments read on the air if they are pertinent. If you want to jump to the front of the line, you know how to do that. Super chats are the way to get that done. We got a lot to talk about today, man. What a busy day in the National Football League, and so unexpected on a random Wednesday in October. Who saw this coming? Not I. But you know I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to talk some shit about some shit. So let's get the show started so we can get to the shits here on the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 210th installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. What a busy day, man. The news wire has been set ablaze today with all of the different topics. One thing happened yesterday, but it's bleeding over today. That was the Jaylon Smith release. That kind of kicked off this whole set of events that it feels like that is taking place. I don't know if the Patriots were going to wait, but it's almost like the Cowboys gave the Patriots permission to then go ahead and do what they ultimately did, which was trade Stephon Gilmore. Initially, it was announced that it was a release. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get right to the proceedings this evening, since we're going to go ahead and talk about this anyway. Let's go ahead and get to the proceedings this evening, shall we? Yeah, I think we shall. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, we had 4 big topics today. One started yesterday. Jaylon Smith released by the Dallas Cowboys. You know, the news came out last night. The official release is today. So, he will hit the streets, and he will have tons of suitors looking to add him to the mix. Here's the interesting part about that, and we'll circle back around and talk about it. I want to get to every single one of these topics quickly, and then we'll circle back and have a longer discussion about each of them. Here's the interesting thing about Jaylon Smith is he doesn't have to take a massive deal if he doesn't want to. If I'm him, I just want a 1-year deal. I don't even want a long-term deal because most teams don't have long-term money available right now. So there's no need for him to sign anything but a 1-year deal and then turn around, hit free agency again next year, because the Cowboys are still paying him his $7.8 million salary from this season. You know, once you're on the roster week 1, you're guaranteed, just like Stephon Gilmore. If the Patriots would have released him, he would have gotten his full salary for the season despite being released. Once you're on the roster week 1, your salary for that season is guaranteed. So he doesn't have to take a massive deal if he doesn't want to. He could take a lower level deal if he wants to go play for a specific team for this year, obviously. Then you hit free agency next year and you get that big deal again if you play and you ball out. But we'll circle back to that conversation. That was the first thing that kicked off these chain of events. Then today, I wake up and Stephon Gilmore has sent a message to Patriots fans on his social media account saying goodbye. And I'm like, remember, there was some off-field drama. I mean, some off-season, not off the field, off-season drama with him wanting more money, wanting a new contract, or wanting at least a bump up in pay. This was the last year of his deal. He looked around the landscape of the league and looked at the cornerback position and said, why am I like the 9th or 10th highest paid corner in the league? Well, why is that happening right now? And the Patriots are like, because you signed the deal. He's like, I'm aware of that, but you guys know what it is. So then, right as the season was about to start, he did have surgery. And then it felt like a mysterious, my ankle. Shucks, fiddlesticks, I can't play. Looks like you guys are going to have to put me on IR. And at that point, remember I joked when he first went on IR, I said, if I were Stephon Gilmore, I'd have this magical pain in my ankle. Man, I can't play. Shucks. Till they got my contract situation right. Well, the Patriots, I told you, I said I would be shocked if they didn't find a way to meet his demands because he's so important to what they do. They need a cornerback. But I think they feel like J.C. Jackson is that guy. So they're going to run with J.C. Jackson, and they'll probably pay him in the offseason if he plays well this season, and they'll keep it pushing. We'll see. But I guess the Patriots are like, look, bro, you're no longer 26 years old. You're pushing 30 now. We're not giving you another red cent. So if you want to play hardball, then we'll just get rid of you. And that they did. So the report initially was he was going to be released. Couldn't find a suitor, just like the Cowboys wanted to trade Jaylon Smith, couldn't find a suitor for his services, so he was supposed to be traded. But then, all right, we're going to release you. Nobody wants to give us anything for you. They know we're going to release you, so we're going to go ahead and cut you loose. So everybody's assuming that Jaylon Smith is going to be on the market, and this premium corner at this time of the year, which never happens, this premium corner in Stephon Gilmore, if healthy, is now going to be on the market. This guy is going to be one of the most sought-after in-season free agents we've ever seen. Teams are really going to be going after Stephon Gilmore because of how the cornerback position impacts games. So that was going to be like the wild, wild west. Anybody that had money that had money was going to be in on Stephon Gilmore. Now, obviously, you got to really think about what was important to him. And we'll get back to that. We'll circle back around. But then he ultimately gets traded. The Panthers step up and say, all right, we'll give you a 6th-rounder. Patriots like, shit, that's better than nothing. We'll take it. So now he's off to Carolina. And that's what, maybe 2 weeks after they just traded for super intelligent C.J. Henderson. So they're trying to build a bully out there. And I guess after the Cowboys game and them getting embarrassed, they felt like we need to do a little bit more at the cornerback position, not having J.C. Horn. So they get a rental in Stephon Gilmore. Then later on, down the line in the day, we get Urban Meyer speaking to the media for the first time publicly since his unfortunate weekend in Ohio. They lose to Cincinnati on Thursday. He stays in town, claims he went to a function. We'll talk more about what he said, the reaction to it, and how to interpret all of that moving forward. So he spoke to the media today. And then the last piece of NFL news today that was relevant, Justin Fields officially named the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears the remainder of the season. It took long enough, okay? Now, excuse me, I don't really know what to make of this from the standpoint of the Bears. Other than, look, you're not winning anything of substance this year. That should have been the thought process going into the season is, look, we're not winning the Super Bowl this year. We're not winning anything of note with Andy Dalton. Sorry, not sorry. I get that you wanted Justin Fields to sit. You wanted him to learn for as long as possible. But the minute Andy got injured, enough of this tomfoolery, okay? Enough of the shenanigans. Put the young fella in, let him stay in. Don't make him look over his shoulder and let him get comfortable and take his lumps. I think they were scared away by what happened against the Browns a couple of weeks ago, where it was one of the worst offensive performances we've seen in the modern Super Bowl era offensively, okay? So I think they might have been scared away by that performance, and that's why they were like, hey, if Andy can play this week, we might have to start Andy. This kid is definitely not ready. Well, he didn't look terrible against the Bears. As a matter of fact, he played actually somewhat well. Still turned it over, but that's what young guys are going to do. They're going to turn the football over. But I think it was like 11 or 17 for 230-something. He hit a couple of deep balls. And I think he instilled confidence in that coaching staff that, hey, I'm not a complete train wreck. I can do some things. You don't have to take me out of the lineup. Let me ball. Let me roll. And I think after that game, they said, you know what? This guy's our meal ticket. If we're going to win anything in the future, it's going to be because of him. We got to get this process started now. I don't know if these guys are going to be around to see this thing through or not in Chicago. Those guys being, GM Ryan Pace, head coach Matt Nagy. I don't know if those guys are going to be around to see this thing through or not. I like to think they are. We make a lot about Matt Nagy and how bad of a coach he can be at times, but he's gone to the playoffs 2 or 3 years, okay? 2 out of the 3 years he's been there, they won the division 1 year in that first year, and then they went to the playoffs last year with Mr. Trubisky. So we kill him, but they're winning games. It's not always pretty, and he doesn't always seem like he's got a handle on what the hell is going on with the offense, which he's supposed to be a guru of, or the team overall, which he's supposed to have his fingerprints all over. Doesn't always seem like he's got a handle of what the hell's going on. But they're 2-2. Okay. They've got winnable games on the schedule. Their division stinks. So they're going to have some opportunities against Minnesota twice and Detroit once more. They're going to have a chance to win 8, 9, maybe even 10 games, depending on how they take care of, some of these games outside of the conference. When they play these AFC opponents, they've already lost to Cleveland, but they got Cincinnati on the schedule. Nope, they already beat Cincinnati. That's one of their 2 wins. They already took care. So they got Pittsburgh still. They stink. Baltimore, who knows what the hell they'll get out of Baltimore. So if they take care of some of these other games that they have, they may be able to get to 9, 10 wins. Who knows? But it's the right move. Once he shows you he's capable of protecting himself, he's not putting himself in harm's way by not being able to set the protection at the line of scrimmage, not being able to set guys up. Once he shows he can do those little simple things, let the man play. I mean, what are we doing? First round pick quarterbacks, generally speaking, they play. If you've got a unique circumstance, like in San Francisco, and that's what the Bears were trying to set up when they brought in Andy Dalton. If you can keep that guy at bay, then you do. But just like they're going to find out in San Francisco, 49ers aren't winning anything of note this year. They're not good enough. Their division is murderer's row, and they're not good enough. Not at the quarterback position. They're not good enough. So what they're going to find out, just like the Bears are finding out now, is that once your veteran bridge quarterback gets injured, which Jimmy Garoppolo just did, hey, just play the young fella. What are we doing? All right. Kyle Shanahan is trying to run away from the inevitable. Just play the young fella. Put in a game plan that suits his skill set and move forward with the young fella, because at the end of the day, you're only going to go as far as that quarterback is going to take you. It may not be what you wanted this year, but moving forward, that's going to give you the best shot to win. Same thing in Chicago. Bears fans everywhere rejoice. You know what was funny? I watched the 85 Bears 30 for 30 again last night. I've already watched it like twice. I watched it again. I don't know why I watched it again. Stop asking. I don't know why. I just did. Man, were they ferocious. Man, was that a good documentary. They want it so bad in Chicago. Those fans are so thirsty for a winner. They deserve better. Maybe they'll get it now that Justin Fields has been named the starter. I don't know what's going to happen. He can be like all the other quarterbacks that they've been ready to crown in Chicago, like Mitchell Trubisky, like Jay Cutler, like Kyle Orton. The list goes on and on and on of guys that have tried and failed. Remember Henry Burris? Oh my God, the Bears have gone through some really bad quarterbacks now that I sit here and think about it. Anyway, it's time for the Justin Fields era to officially begin in Chicago. Good for them for making the decision. Good for him. Now let's see what he does with it. Let's go all the way back to the first topic that got all of this started, and that was Jaylon Smith being released. So last night, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching Red Sox and Yankees, and I see in all caps, anytime I get a tweet from an official account, and one of these insiders, Adam Schefter, Field Yates, Ian Rappaport, anytime I get an all caps tweet, I'm like, wait a minute. Something's going on. So the first word is breaking news. Breaking, I think it just said. I don't think it even said news. Breaking. We have a trade. A trade? So I'm thinking it's probably some low-level player. We've seen trades already this offseason take place. CJ Henderson. We just saw Dan Arnold, and CJ Henderson. Those two teams flop players essentially. And then I think the Panthers probably threw in a late-round draft pick along with Dan Arnold to get their hands on CJ Henderson. And so we've seen some trades already take place. Who is it? We just saw Jakeem Grant be traded from Miami to the Bears for a late round draft pick. That's what I was thinking. But you don't need to all caps me for a Jakeem Grant to the Bears trade. That's a low level trade. So I'm like, it's in all caps. This has to be big. What's going on? No, it didn't say trade. It just said breaking. It said breaking. Cowboys release linebacker Jaylon Smith. I go, huh. That's interesting. Now, I had heard rumblings and grumblings that they weren't really that thrilled with this play. This is going back to last year, that he freelances. He's always out of position. Now, mind you, just 2 years ago, they loved him so much, they gave him a brand new contract. So a lot has changed, obviously, in a year and a half. But that's how it is in this league. You get a new staff in there. And now you got a new defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn, and he's like, hey, this piece doesn't fit in my puzzle. Sorry, not sorry. His defensive snaps were starting to wane, and he was out of favor in Dallas. Shit happens. So I wasn't surprised that they wanted to reduce his playing time. Shit happens all the time. I was shocked that they decided he can't help us any further this year because let's not act like they don't have Leighton Vander Esch on their team who could, at any moment's notice, have his neck flare up or his back flare up and be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm like, let's not act like you don't have guys that may miss time. He may still be worth something to you, but they said, you know what? Not only is he not going to play for us right now, but we're scared if we have to put him in the game. If he does something with his injury history, like tear his ACL or he tears his Achilles or ruptures his Achilles tendon or he tears his pec or anything crazy that can happen to a linebacker, we got to pay him his salary for next year too. He's got an injury settlement. He's got an injury guarantee for next year. We don't want to pay him his 2022 salary as well. And we don't trust his ass to stay healthy. So instead of allowing him to stay on the roster, he could get hurt in practice, so we got to pay him next year. To hell with that. Let's get rid of his ass now. Make him somebody else's problem. Okay. So the first thing I always want to know when a guy gets traded or released in season, if it's that bad that you had to move on in season, is there something else wrong? Like, I need to know, why is this at the clearance outlet? Why is this at the clearance outlet? Why didn't this just go to the factory? Why is this at the clearance outlet? Only things that are defective end up here in the clearance outlet. You see a pair of Jordans, they're not A grades. They're probably not even B grades. They may be B grades, but they're more likely than not C grades. I just need to know what's wrong with it. If you're going to tell me that the eye on Nike Air at the bottom of the shoe on the sole is missing, I don't give a shit about that. Who's going to see the sole of the shoe? All right, what else is wrong with the shoe? Inside the tongue, where the jump man is, the ball's missing. Okay, who the hell is going to see inside the tongue? I'll take them. Now, you can't tell me on the outside of the shoe where everybody can see one of the shoes on the jump man is missing. Okay, no, I can't do that. Now you got me feeling like I got a pair of fake birds on. But just let me know what the defects are, and I'll let you know if I'm interested in the item or not. So with Jaylon Smith, let me know what the defects are. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong. They didn't just release him because they just don't want him on the team anymore. There's more to this than just the fact that he freelances, that he's out of position, that he doesn't fit in the scheme. There's more to it than that. And yeah, the injury history, I already told you what they were thinking. They don't want to pay him next year. They don't want him to risk him getting hurt. Is he a bad guy in the locker room? I don't think that's the case, but he's a Notre Dame fighting out. He's a Golden Domer. I don't think he's a bad guy in the locker room. I don't know that. Does he have poor study habits? What's the deal here? If you tell me, nope, just didn't fit our scheme, didn't want him to get hurt and have to pay him his money for next year, okay. I'll be willing to kick those tires. I'll be willing to take a look. But I'm interested. I want to see what's going on with that situation. Then you have Herb. Then there's Herb. So Urban Meyer spoke to the media for the first time today. And we talked about him ad nauseum yesterday, about his situation. I read to you the Michael Silver tweets. He had a thread that was about 5 tweets long. And it really spoke to the locker room more specifically, and how the guys in the locker room were never really all that impressed with him to begin with, didn't really respect him to start. And what little respect he had was pretty much diminishing by the day, by the hour, by the minute, by the second. And Urban stepped to the mic today and said, yeah, I apologize to the whole team. So I think he took heed to all of the things that were going around, because there was a lot of truth in what was being said yesterday about the players taking him for a joke, not respecting him the way he had gone about his situation. Sound like he owned up to some shit to his team, like, hey, I effed up. His owner, Shad Khan, had already come out and said, look, he's going to have to earn our trust back. And that's no secret. I mean, the players, they didn't really trust him to begin with. And I don't blame them. How many times have we seen coaches from the collegiate ranks come to the NFL only to realize I'm in over my head and bolt for the college game? Why do you think everyone, when that USC job came available, why do you think the first name everybody thought of was Urban Meyer? Because they were expecting him to pull a Bobby Petrino. They were expecting him to pull a Nick Saban. Because we've seen this movie before. College coach thinks he can handle the NFL. College coach realizes the NFL is way too big for his britches, and then reverts back to what he knows and he's comfortable with, which is the college game. In season, quits on the team. Herb has reiterated multiple times, including in this press conference, not going anywhere. I'm not going to resign. I'm not looking to quit. I'm not looking for any backdoor exit. We're going to turn this thing around in Jacksonville. I want to believe Herb. I do. But I have my concerns and my doubts. He talked about staying behind in Ohio and how he discussed that with the GM, Trent Baalke. Don't know how they came to the decision that that was a good idea. He said that that was an opportunity for him to clear his mind. When I hear clear my mind and then I see the photos of him looking like his mind is pretty damn clear, what exactly do you define as clearing your mind? Like, what is an example of you clearing your mind, Herb? Probably not the best term to use when describing this situation. But that's nor here nor there. Bottom line is, he said all the right things in this press conference. He said, I apologize to my wife and my family. You know, I'm sorry. I embarrassed everyone. I embarrassed my family. I embarrassed this organization. I embarrassed my players. I'm ashamed right now. You know, I tell these guys to be careful. He said, you know, Trevor Lawrence was going to some kind of bachelor party or something, you know, during training camp or right around training camp. And he told him, be careful. He says, and I'm out here doing this shit. He gets it. I don't know if he delivered the message well or not. That's not for me to decide. Did he deliver? Because what he says to the media is one thing. What he said to his players is a totally different situation. And that's what's the most important. Not what you say to the media, you know, not what you say to, you know, people outside of the press, talking to fans and things like that. What he said to his family and what he said to his team and what he said to ownership in Jacksonville are the most important things. That message, I don't know how it was delivered. But for Urban Meyer, nothing he can say at this point matters, honestly speaking. You know, you have to apologize to the team I hope he did it in a way that he lets them know I effed up. I really did. I really did F up. And I hold you guys to such a high standard. How can I not hold myself to that same standard? I'm embarrassed. I'm mortified. But really, it's all about action now. The players, honestly, they're probably tuning him out at this point. They could care less. They got to win. If this thing gets to 0-10, 0-11, they are going to check out on his ass. They got to win a football game here sooner rather than later. Like, they could really use a Houston on the schedule. Like, not now, like right now. And I don't know when their second Houston is coming because they played them in week 1 on the road when they had Tyrod Taylor and they got their doors blown off. They could really use a Houston Davis Mills edition right now. Not now, like right now. I don't know when that's coming. And frankly, I don't know if they'd be able to take advantage of it or not. But that's what they could use. They got Tennessee this week. I don't see them winning that football game. But we'll see what happens. And then finally, Stephon Gilmore. So Gilly, I think he just wanted to be paid. He didn't want out of New England necessarily. But the Patriots, you know how they do. You know the Patriot way. They're not paying this dude after they already broke him off with one contract. They're not paying him on another one. That's not what they do in New England. Not many guys get multiple contracts with the Patriots. You get one and usually you're done. That's usually how it goes with the Patriots. We've seen them trade, you know, they released, it started with Lawyer Malloy. Released Lawyer Malloy back in the day. That was the first sign of the Patriot way. The first time we said, whoa, he's like a Patriot through and through. Him and the Ty Law, like they go hand in hand. They're like yin and yang. Like, what are you doing? And I remember he goes to Buffalo and they played the Patriots the first week and they drubbed New England in that first game, like 38-0. And Lawyer Malloy was so happy. He was talking shit. I think the Patriots ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. Anyway, it didn't matter. Ended up winning the Super Bowl anyway. I think it was like 2003. Then we saw what they did to Richard Seymour. That was big. Then we saw what happened with Willie McGinnis. He didn't finish as a Patriot. Mike Vrabel didn't finish as a Patriot. Wes Welker didn't finish as a Patriot. They told Julian Edelman, hey, go out here and see what's out here. And if there's nothing, we put an offer out on the table. It ain't shit. We know it ain't shit. You know it ain't shit, but you can either take it or you could leave. So he went out there, he stuck his toe in the NFL free agency pool, and he's like, man, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And he clicked his cleats 3 times and he was back in New England. That's what they do to guys. You get one contract from us. If you're not Tom Brady, if you're not Vince Wilfork, you don't get another one. You'll be gone before the end of that second contract, more likely than not. Well, Stephon Gilmore is at the end of that second deal, essentially. And they're like, nah, not going to do it again, buddy. Sorry. Not getting any more money from us. So we're going to try to trade you. Couldn't find anybody initially, so we're going to have to release you. And then the Panthers were like, hey, whoa. You're really going to release this guy? It's like, yeah, we put floaters out there. Nobody bit. All right, I'll tell you what. We got a 6th-round pick. That's better than nothing, right? I suppose. All right, we'll slide you this 6. You slide us Stephon Gilmore. He's like, and now, normally I don't do this. This is what Belichick said. Normally I don't do this because I really don't give a shit. I like taking advantage of people, but I like you, Matt Rule. You kind of feel like me a bit. So I just want to warn you, this is a rental. You do understand this is a 13-week rental, correct? Oh, yeah. That's why I'm only sliding you a 6. He said, okay, cool. Just want to make sure you were straight. So the Panthers are like, hey, we think we've got a defense that could get us to the playoffs this year. And I told you what Matt Rule was going to do. I said, give Matt Rule 3 years. They'll be in the playoffs. Matt Rule looked me in my eyes and said, 3 years? Try 2. So he goes out and gets Sam Darnold. He goes out. He drafts, J.C. Horn. They shore up a bunch of areas on the team. They lose Curtis Samuel, so they go out and they get more. They draft Marshall from LSU to give them some more targets. They go out, get Dan Arnold at tight end. They decide, we got enough tight ends. We still got some stuff here. We drafted the kid from Notre Dame. We still got the Ian kid from Indiana, Ian Thomas. Oh, we're good at tight end. We can afford to move on from Dan Arnold. They lose J.C. Horn in week 2. Or was it week 3? I think it was week 3 against Houston. And so they realize we got to do something. So they trade for C.J. Henderson. But he's only a second-year player. He's not necessarily a needle mover. He's just as young as J.C. Horn, essentially. So, and you may not have thought as highly of him as you did J.C. Horn. So you're like, we like Dante Jackson. We think he's good. But we love Stephon Gilmore if he's healthy. They're trying to change the culture in Carolina. And Matt Rule's like, I don't want to lose this year if we don't have to. This defense is good enough. We add another corner. This defense is good enough to be a problem this year. With the way this offense is playing, I already told you, he's not dumb as Matt Rule. He realizes, I don't know how much longer I'm going to have Joe Brady as my offensive coordinator. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have this guy who is a offensive prodigy. He goes in that category with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan of these NFL offensive savants. Joe Brady, look at what he's doing with Sam Darnold. Without Christian McCaffrey, pretty much for the last year and now a half, essentially. As McCaffrey hasn't really been healthy this year either. It's only a matter of time before one of these thirsty, hungry-ass NFL teams looking for the next big thing as an offensive mind comes knocking at the Carolina Panthers' door, and they want to speak to Joe Brady. And if he can interview well, he's gone. And Matt Rule knows it, and so he's trying to take advantage of it as soon as he possibly can, and that means we got to win this year because I'm not guaranteed to have Joe Brady next year. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but he's like, hey, we got to go after whatever we can get our hands on right now because I don't know what the next guy is going to come in here and do. He's not going to be Joe Brady, I can assure you of that. So that's interesting that the Panthers have traded for a cornerback 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, they've traded for a cornerback. Didn't like the results they got last week against Dallas. They said, we got to do something. Now they're getting the Eagles this week. Stephon Gilmore, I don't know when he'll be back. I don't know if he was placed on the PUP list and he can't return until week 6. I don't know what the status of his injury that he had is, or if this is just him healing from surgery, whatever the case may be. But whenever he's healthy, he's going to help the Carolina Panthers in a major way. So, interesting move there. So, let's go ahead and jump into our next segment, social media maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. You know what time it is. So, let's get into that right now. We got a couple of super chats. I'll knock those out first, and then we will start knocking down all of your comments with the hashtag LouieTLive. So, first super chat of the afternoon belongs to my guy, John Perez. Thank you for the super chat, JP. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, wow, Lou, Smith cut and Gilmore headed to Carolina. Plus, not NFL related, but how about my Red Sox doing America a favor and sending the Yankees home? We'll start there. I was surprised in the manner in which you sent them home. It was almost a non-competitive game. You know, there was that scare in the 6th inning when they had the solo shot from Rizzo, and then you get Stanton, who probably would have hit 3 home runs last night if not for the green monster out there, banging one off the wall, and the Looney Tunes third base coach for the Yankees doesn't know rules of the game. That was a rocket off the monster. What are you doing, dude? It's 1 out. Why are you sending him home in that situation? Great relay by the Red Sox, though. They still had to execute the relay perfectly as they did. Kiko Alonso got it in, and damn, I'm trying to think if it was the shortstop or the second baseman. I can't remember which. It was the dude that hit the home run last night, the 2-run shot. Can't think of his damn name right now, but he threw a rifle shot. Perfect placed ball right at home, like right there. Catch it. All you had to do was tag Judge. And that was really the end of any threat. And then you just ran away with it the rest of the game. We'll see what you do against the Rays. It should be interesting. Some more AL East family business being handled. See what you do with that one. But Smith getting cut, I mean, I didn't see it coming. I kind of get where the Cowboys are coming from, but I just want to know, is there more to this story, or is it as simple as doesn't fit in the defense and we don't want him getting hurt on our watch because we don't want to pay him. We don't want him getting hurt on our dime. We don't want to pay him his salary for next year with his injury history. Or do they know something? Like, did they give him a physical and they're like, yo, his knee's about to explode? Like, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, JP. Also from my guy John Perez, double up, thank you for doubling up, John. My guy JP writes, heard that an anonymous Jags player said that the players actually laughed at Meyer's apology. Dude has zero respect there. Yeah, we reread that yesterday. There's really no respect for Herb right now in Jacksonville amongst his players. I don't know how the coaching staff feels. I don't know how upper management feels. I don't know how ownership feels. But those players, they didn't respect him really from the jump. Let me see if I have this. Let me add a little bit to the Herb story. So I saw something interesting on socials. I think it was this morning. And when I saw it, I said, I got to like this because I need to come back and read it to the fam on the podcast. So let me see if I can track it down real quick, because I swear I hit the like button just so I could have access to it. But I might be tripping. Nope, here it is. Okay. So this is part of the reason why Jags players don't respect him, why they didn't really respect him from the get-go. He hired Chris Doyle as the team's director of sports performance. Doyle was accused of making racist comments and belittling players during his time at Iowa. After heavy backlash, Doyle resigned from the Jaguars. So that was the first chink in the armor. You bring in a guy that has been publicly known to have made, I don't know if he's racist, but generally if you make racist comments, then you feel some type of way towards a different race. So he brings that guy on board. Remember, this is the same Urban Meyer that protected a colleague of his, which was probably a friend, who was a known woman beater on his Ohio State staff for many years, knowing what his friend was doing. He knew. So we know Urban Meyer's character is not the best, and he doesn't have the best set of friends. Anyway, then he signs Tim Tebow as a tight end. That didn't go over well. And remember, I came on and I defended Urban Meyer's right to sign Tim Tebow. Again, it's not like he gave Tim Tebow a 3-year contract and somebody was going to lose their job because Tim Tebow, who had never played tight end before and hadn't played football in like 7 years, he was getting an invite to camp. And, all these football players that were retired were having these takes. Oh, my God, this is terrible. Tim Tebow's trash. And I'm like, why are you guys so butthurt about Tim Tebow getting an opportunity? If he stinks, he won't make the team. And he didn't. He didn't even wait till the final cut down. They cut him when they had to trim their roster down to 80. They cut Tim Tebow. He wasn't part of the 53-man roster cut down. Anyway, that might have rubbed some players the wrong way, though, having Tim Tebow on the team. Then they drafted a running back in the first round, despite already having James Robinson, who went over 1,000 yards last year as an undrafted rookie, on the roster already. I didn't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with having a thunder and lightning type of combination, but there might have been other pressing needs on that Jaguars roster, and you could have gone in a different direction. They decided to go there. Travis Etienne, guess what? Didn't play a single snap for them this year as he had a foot injury. He's out for the season. So they didn't go well. But, we'll see what what happens with that pick down the road. Could actually be beneficial for them. Openly admitted that he was hoping that Kadarius Toney was going to be available at their second first-round pick when they ultimately had to select Travis Etienne. So he admitted we really wanted Kadarius Toney. It's not how things work here in the NFL. You don't actually say, yeah, I was kind of hoping to get that guy, but we took this guy because he was the only one left. You keep that shit in-house, dude. You keep that to yourself. Like, again, you're not at Ohio State. Okay? You're not talking to the Ohio Gazette, the Ohio State Gazette. All right, you're not talking to the Columbus Times-Dispatch. Shut up. What are you doing? Anyway, digress. Told reporters that they cut players due to their vaccine status. NFLPA opened an investigation to those comments. Again, Herb, shut up. I forgot what movie it was, but she's like, shut up. She elbowed him and she said, shut up. Shut up. What are you talking about? Look, you can do that. Just don't say it. You think you're the only team that was cutting dudes because they weren't vaccinated? If it was all equal, got a vaccinated and an unvaccinated guy, and they're one and the same, yeah, gonna take the guy that's vaccinated. Shut up. Had an open competition for starting quarterback between Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew. Minshew was traded a few weeks later, but split valuable first-team reps with Lawrence. I don't know what he was thinking there. I want to make him earn it. Bro, he was the #1 overall pick in the draft. Ain't nobody earning nothing. Get that man the job. Get Gardner Minshew's ass out of there so he's not looking over his shoulder, and let's play some football. Y'all remember that Space Jam toy? Oh, it was the worst. It was the most annoying toy ever. Now, if you're not old enough, you're not going to remember this toy. But it came in Happy Meals. And it said, it was a Michael Jordan Space Jam toy. And it said, let's play some basketball. And then you press the button again and it says, I really enjoy playing with you guys. And then you press the button again and it said, let's play some basketball. Then you press the button again. I really enjoy playing with you guys. And the little kids would just press the button over and over and over again. And let's play some basketball. I really enjoy playing with you guys. Let's play some basketball. I'm like, dude, let's play some football. Get Gardner Minshew's ass out of here. He's Gardner effing Minshew. Get him out of here. You got Trevor Lawrence, the #1 overall pick in the draft. What are we doing? Get your life together, man. This one was the one that knocked my socks off. Traded away last year's #9 overall pick. I know there's this thing about you're coming into a situation and not necessarily loving what the last regime did. But it's hard to already figure out that a former first rounder can't help you in any regard after being on the job less than a year. It's hard for me to really take all of that information in and feel like the right thing to do is get rid of CJ Henderson. Now, if you see at practice, he stinks, he can't cover anybody. Okay. But I doubt that that's the case. The Jaguars don't have studs like that that's breaking dudes off, that's making CJ Henderson look like he should have been a 7th-round pick. I can't buy that. Now, is he a bad guy? I don't know. I don't know. But really, we trading away the 9th overall pick from a season ago for a tight end that you could have signed in free agency? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. And then they start 0-4, obviously. And we saw what happened with the whole situation with his wife, or with, the outing in Cincinnati, in Ohio. We saw all of that nonsense. So Herb's got a lot going on right now, and he's going to have to earn the trust of the players and the organization back. Good luck, Herb. Gonna need it, bro. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wings writes, we got to talk about this injury report, cuz. Man, I mean, we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about it tonight for sure. I mean, what did I tell you guys already? I said the injury report is going to be long. It's going to be long. Some of those guys that are on it currently may not be on it tomorrow. I mean, may not be out of practice. Like Curtis Samuel, how significant? Are we babysitting him? Are we making sure we work him back slowly? Or did he tweak something? We don't know. Tomorrow will be another day, and we'll find some things out tomorrow. But we already knew this. Like, you sound surprised, Red Wings. Like, oh my God, where did all of these injuries come from? We knew this. I told you the cost of winning that game might have been a bit steep. We already knew the injury report was going to be some shit. So I'm not surprised, and neither should you. Mike Lowry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Collins is the new Steven Alexander. Who is Steven Alexander? The only Steven Alexander I've ever known was a tight end for the Washington football team back in the early 2000s. And he didn't spell his name like that, though. But yes, that's the only Steven Alexander I know. So if you know another Steven Alexander, I'd love to hear about it. Let's see. All right, I think that's the last super chat that I have. So we'll go back to the top of the program. And at this moment, I want to take an opportunity to ask you guys to do me a huge favor. There's almost 200 of you out there, yet there's only 55 likes. So come on, guys. What are we doing here? Hit the like button. If you haven't already hit it, please do me a huge favor. All right? Hit the like button. First, above all else, if you haven't subscribed, do that first. Okay? Then hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. But if you've done all of those things already, hit the like button. Thank you. So please and thank you. Really appreciate you guys. So let's knock out some of these comments now. Let's see. Red Wings writes, make sure I didn't miss any. And I did not. He writes, I don't know about Smith. Dude's not what he used to be, and I haven't been too impressed with his play thus far. The Cowboys were willing to take a lot of dead cap to get him off the books. I think some of that speaks to their disappointment in his play over the last, not just this year, but last year as well. When that defense was bad, he was a part of the problem. And I think this year it's more about him not fitting in what they're doing. And then the added risk of him getting injured and them being on the hook for an additional $9.2 million if he were to get hurt with his salary next year. They're just like, yeah, I'll take the hit this year because we already had to pay him regardless. Like, that money's already guaranteed to him. So we're not hurting ourselves by releasing him. Once he was on the roster week one, that $7.8 or $7.2 million or whatever it is, that was guaranteed to him already. So we can't get out of that. But what we can get out of is that injury guarantee for next year. If he decides that running down on special teams, he wants to tear his ACL, he can't play next year, we got to pay him $9.2 million. Hell no, we're not paying him $9.2 million next year if he gets injured this year. I think it was more about that than anything else. But again, I would have to do my due diligence. If I'm a team interested in Jaylon Smith, you know, why exactly are you available here on October 6th? What's the deal? I would have to do all of my homework. Gregory Lightbody. Why is Ron so conservative? Why couldn't Washington send a 6th or a 5th for Gilmore? Washington isn't interested in a one-year rental. Again, we're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. I don't know what Carolina thinks they're going to do, but I already told you what the reasoning probably was in Carolina. They've got a prodigy savant offensive coordinator that may not be there after this year. They got to take advantage of him while they have him. And Carolina's defense might be a top 5 unit this year. And we know what can be done with a top 5 unit. And they play in a division that isn't all that great. You know, I think that the Saints are a fraud. I told you that I didn't think they were going to be that good this year. I think they're a fraud. We know the Falcons aren't very good. So they got teams that they can take advantage of in that division. And they've got a schedule that I think they can take advantage of, you know? So when I look around, because the NFC East plays the NFC South, the Panthers are looking at the rest of that NFC East like food. Like, hey, we should beat Philadelphia. We should beat Washington. We should beat the Giants. They're thinking, if we take care of business in the division, let's say they get swept by Tampa, because it's a realistic possibility that they could get swept by Tampa. But we take care of the other 2 teams and sweep them. That's 4 wins right there, okay? They've already beaten Houston. They've already beaten the Jets. So that's 2 wins outside of the NFC East games that they'll get and the division games that they'll get. They win the 4 games in the division. They win against the other NFC East teams not named Dallas, who they've already lost to. That's 7 wins. They've already beat the Jets and Houston. That's 9 wins. You got to think that they'll win a game or 2 here or there throughout their schedule that's scattered amongst their schedule. They could win 10, 11 games. With that defense, if the offense continues to do what it's done, and they'll get Christian McCaffrey, you would think, back and healthy at some point, they could be, and I think CMC is practicing today, if I'm not mistaken. If I read correctly, he's back on the practice field today. I wouldn't rush him back if I were them, but whatever the case may be, I said all of that to say this. They think they could actually make some noise this year because you know, in this league, if you got dominant defense, you got a shot. So they're looking around and they're saying, it's a 1-year rental. J.C. Horn will be back next year. So he won't be on the books next year when we get our stud cornerback. We got C.J. Henderson on the opposite side with Dante Jackson. We got all of these guys in here. We like this young nucleus. Add this veteran to the mix. Ron's not looking to do that because in Ron's mind, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Our team isn't good enough to add a Stephon Gilmore. We're not good enough. I'm not giving up any future draft capital for a guy that's going to be a 1-year rental on a team that's not winning a Super Bowl this year. I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that. So, you could be upset at Ron not pulling the trigger here, but I don't blame Ron for not pulling the trigger. I'm going to be honest with you. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. I got another super chat here. And it is from the Talk Heavy Podcast. Thank you for the super chat. Talk Heavy Podcast. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, is personnel really the problem with our defense, or is it JDR's system that stinks? Or was last year's rating fraudulent? We played a lot of backup QBs. It's what's funny with a lot of the fans and the fan base is that it seems like they're just figuring this stuff out, even though not only just me, but a lot of people have been talking about the fact that we played a lot of bad offenses and a lot of bad quarterbacks last year. Seems like people are just waking up to that. Hey, you know what? We played some bad We played Nick Mullins last year. We played against Andy Dalton twice. We played against Carson Wentz. We played against Jalen Hurts. We played against the Bengals backup quarterback for half of football. What in the world was Washington doing last year? They caught some breaks. Duh. That's what we've been saying all offseason. To all of the people that thought this defense was going to be top 5, I kept saying, we played bad offenses last year. The only 2, we played 4 really good quarterbacks. 4. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger. I don't count Baker Mayfield in that discussion. We played 4 really good quarterbacks. Everybody else was either middle of the road, subpar, or trash. Like, we had opportunities to do what we did last year. This defense was good, one, because we couldn't be any worse than we were the year before. That's number 1. Number 2, Jack Del Rio came in, and I thought that he had a really good plan and really talented players up front, and we took advantage of that. But now the league's adjusted. Now we got to adjust to the league adjusting to us. That's what I think. Okay. I don't want to hear any more about getting chipped and double teamed. You know what? Von Miller gets chipped and double teamed. You know what? Myles Garrett gets chipped and double teamed. You know what? Aaron Donald gets chipped and double teamed. I don't want to hear about that shit anymore. Okay? I don't want to hear about getting chipped and double teamed. All of the greats, all of the best pass rushers in the league get chipped and double teamed. Find ways to create one-on-one matchups. And guess what? This is a really novel concept. When you get a one-on-one matchup, win this shit, which they haven't been doing. So don't talk to me about getting chipped and double teamed. When you get that one-on-one against the tight end, when you get that one-on-one against the tackle, win. And that's what they're not doing. Don't talk to me about that shit. It's a lot of things. It's not just Jack Del Rio. Some of the players, but I think Del Rio can do a better job of putting guys in positions to succeed. He can get creative without putting the back end at risk, because we know the back end is a little shaky. It's a little shaky. There's some things he can do creative up front without putting the back end at risk. I think he's stuck in his ways right now. But that's not the reason this defense is bad. By itself, at least. So there's a lot more to it than just that. But thank you for the super chat. The Talk Heavy podcast. Let's see. Where do we stop at? Right here. JP says, how about my Red Sox, Lou? Sent those damn Yankees home yesterday, and it feels good. Feels good, feels good. Always feels good to beat your rival and send them home, without a doubt. Rich says, is Stephon Gilmore injured or injured? The phrase is he injured or is he hurt? There's a difference between the two. All right. If you're injured, you can't play. If you're hurt, everybody's hurt. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's got nicks and bruises, something that they're dealing with. If you're hurt, you can play. You play through being hurt. Guys do it all the time. If you're injured, you got to sit out. So is he injured or is he hurt? I don't know. He said, if he's injured, when will he come back? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if he's on IR currently right now, or excuse me, the PUP list, or, you know, I think he's on the PUP list. So he wouldn't be available until week 6, I believe. So maybe one more week he has to sit down, and then he may be able to come back next week. I don't quote me on that. I don't actually know for sure. Rich also says, I had faith in Urban, but he's had more than 5 apologies, and it's just week 5. It's crazy that people are counting him out so early, but this time I can't blame them. He's done a lot of things, you know. I read you the rap sheet already of things that he's done to alienate himself from his team and those who want to support him. He's made poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. That said, if he had won 2 games by now, a lot of this shit would have not been discussed. We wouldn't even be having a lot of these conversations. He could have been 4-0. The shit that he did on, Friday, that's a problem, regardless if you're undefeated or you're winless. That's a problem. But, all the other stuff, you'll bring it up because he's losing. He's 0-4. They're winning games. Nobody cares. Nobody cares he signed Tim Tebow, and then cut him. Nobody cares they drafted Travis Etienne. Nobody cares that he openly talked about wanting Kadarius Toney instead of Travis Etienne. If they're 4-0, if they're 3-1, they're 2-2. Nobody cares about any of that shit. It only amplifies when you're 0-4. Because now the football on the field isn't good enough. So now we're searching for other things to talk about because you suck. That's what happens when you're not good. Now we start picking and probing and prodding because we don't have anything on the field to actually discuss. That's why winning's so important. We call it the best deodorant there is. Because there could be a lot of funkiness going on, but if you're winning, it cleans up a lot of that stuff. People will tolerate a lot if you win. He's not winning right now, so the tolerance level is really low. It's really low. Red Wings Says another thing about Smith is the potential bidding war for him, which I doubt the team will let itself get mixed in. I'm not saying he can't help, but can the team? He says he can, but damn, why was that so hard? He can, but team will probably look elsewhere. They're not looking anywhere. Ron's made it abundantly clear. There have been guys already out on the streets that could have helped this team. And Ron's essentially said, no, we're good. Now, that was before John Bostic got injured. But we already saw what he did. Jordan Kuznick. Somebody tried to correct me. I don't know what his damn name is. Jordan K. Let's call him that. I don't want to keep messing the man's name up, but he's not important enough for me to learn how to say his name because I don't expect him to ever have to play. But maybe I will learn his name. Jordan K. got elevated from the practice squad to the active roster. Ron's already showed us. He's good on what we got at linebacker. He's not doing anything more this year. Maybe next year in the offseason, they'll draft another linebacker. Maybe they sign one, a veteran to bring in with the group because John Bostic's contract will be up. But they're not doing anything. They're not like we have this conversation every time someone gets released. Anytime a name gets floated around in circles is trade bait. Washington fans go nuts. Hey, you know how many times people at me when a name gets brought up? You know how many times I got added when Jaylon Smith got released? You know how many times I got added when Stephon Gilmore was rumored to be released this morning? It comes with the territory. Our fan base is thirsty. We always want something better than what we already have. I'm cool with them not exploring this. I would do my due diligence, but at the end of the day, I'm cool with them saying, nah, we're good. We're good. We're good with what we have. I may not love it. You may not love it, but again, we're in year 2 of Ron. Ron's got a plan. I keep trying to tell people that there are too many of you out there that want to win right now. Ron's like, yeah, if we win this year, that's great. But I'm not looking to mortgage the future to win now. Like, you guys got the game all twisted up. But I've been talking about that all offseason, but a lot of people, they simply don't want to hear that. So, wait, I think I got a super chat. Hold on a second. I do have another super chat, and it's from the Talk Heavy podcast. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Talk Heavy podcast. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, if you were the Washington football team GM, what would you do to bandage this defense this year? I've got a couple of ideas. I got a couple of things that I would do personally, but I'm not at practice every day. This is a thing I keep expressing to you guys. I'm not there every day, so I can't actually say what guys are capable of or not capable of. From the outside looking in, it's easy to have suggestions. It's easy to have suggestions. You should do this and you should do that. If I'm there every day and I have intel that you don't have access to, there might be reasons why Jack does the things that he does. Maybe he's seeing at practice, we're not a good man-to-man coverage team. And I won't put our players in those situations very often because, as we've seen a couple of times this year, when we've gone, man, we've gotten toasted, roasted, and pass interferences and touchdowns have been given up. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to put them in that. I'd much rather stay in zone coverage and keep everything in front of us, even though we struggle to do that at times. I've got suggestions. One of the things, and to me, this is an easy fix. You know what I'm saying? Is I would move Chase and Montez around, and I would create matchups for them. You want to chip? You want to double team? Okay, fine. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to overload a side of the football field, and we're going to pressure you in a look that is unforeign, that's foreign to you, that's unorthodox. I'm going to have guys standing up, walking around on 3rd and 8. You don't know who's blocking who, where they're coming from. I'm going to have Montez and Chase walking around on one side of the football field. We're going to have 2 defensive ends or 2 D linemen because I told you guys I had a package, and you could call it NASCAR, you call it speed package, whatever you want to call it. All right. I would just call it my speed package. All right. Or my rush package, or my turbo package, whatever the hell creative name you want to come up with. I don't give a shit. All right. The McQueen package, the Lightning package, whatever. But in that package, it would essentially be a 3-3-5 package. Okay. 3 linebackers, 3 D linemen, 5 defensive backs. My 3D linemen would be Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and Deron Payne, or Matt Ioannidis. You can interchange those two if you like. I'd go with Deron Payne to start. But if you want to put Ioannidis in there, knock yourself out. Okay? And if you wanted to put Jonathan Allen in there, go, okay, cool. Knock yourself out. Again, I would go with Allen or Payne or Ioannidis, but you could put Allen in there because he's faster than the other two probably. I think Payne might be the quickest of the 3, but Payne might be the fastest overall. I don't know. Bottom line is, my 3 linebackers would be Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, and Khaleke Hudson. Pure speed. All 3 of them. Pure speed. And then the back end, you can mix it up however you want. It could be a combination of Curl and McCain. It could be Collins and Curl. It could be Collins and McCain. I don't care. The safety, you can interchange them, do whatever you want. And then your 3 corners, obviously, St. Juice, William Jackson, Kendall Fuller. Those 3 have to be on the field. What you do with the safeties is your prerogative. I don't really care. You interchange the ones out that you feel like fit best for the situation. If it's 3rd and 5, maybe you come with Landon Collins, a more physical in-the-box guy, in case they try to do something quick. If you want, it's a little bit longer, you put Cam Curl and Bobby McCain in. They give you a little bit more flexibility. Whatever. But the basis of this defense is the 6 guys up front. Young, Sweat, Ioannidis / Payne, whichever one you put in, and the 3 linebackers. And 5 of those guys are rushing on this particular. And when I bring this package, 5 of these dudes are coming every time. Not 4, not 3. 5 of these dudes are coming. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to overload. And I'm going to have these guys standing up, walking around. So you don't know who's coming from where and what. But guess what? 5 of these sumbitches are coming. 4 of them are coming on one side. One's coming on the other side. We're going to have a guy dropping out on the other side. You're going to overload one side, and we're going to bring the pressure. We're going to bring it. We're going to confuse your coverage. We're going to confuse your blocking schemes. Hell, we may even drop out of this shit. We may come with it 3 times in a row, and now you're thinking, okay, we got to set this protection, and then we drop out of it. Now you got a quick hitter, and now we dropping 9 dudes in the coverage, and all of a sudden you're throwing in nothing. These are ways you can be creative. I just don't see it happening. But again, I've said this. It's hard to be creative when they can't get the simple things right, like cover 3. So on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, I'm not with it. Find a way to be creative with what you have, because you got talent. And I know my guy Derek B doesn't like hearing this. Talent? What talent? You got talent on this team defensively. Find a way to utilize it. You got speed on this team. Khaleke Hudson is a tremendous, he's not a good, he's a tremendous blitzer. Send him. Put him in the game. Send him. Let him do what he's best at doing. I don't know. These are things that I would do. Khaleke Hudson hasn't really even seen the field this year. You telling me you can't get 47 on the field in a blitz look? I don't know. I don't know why that is. I don't understand. Anyway, I digress. So that's just a little taste of some things that I would do. But, again, I'm not there every day. I can't say what they should or shouldn't do. Anyway, I digress. We were right here at 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the comment, who writes, Lou, is it possible to dramatically increase arm strength over an offseason, or is it one of those things that you can only improve slightly, thinking about Heineke? You were either blessed with arm strength or you weren't. You're like, this is coming from a guy that when I played baseball, So there are 5 tools that are considered when you're a baseball player, when you're a prospect, when you hear them say he's a 5-tool prospect. It means there are 5 things that they look at that like they grade you on when you're coming up in through the minors. One of those 5 tools is arm strength. Do you have a cannon? If you're an outfielder, if you're a second baseman, if you're a shortstop, you're a third baseman, can you throw the baseball? What kind of arm do you have? That was the one tool I didn't have. I did not have an arm. Yeah. Guys that don't have an arm, a lot of times they hide you in right field. They hide you in right field. So I didn't have an arm, but I could hit, I could run, I could field, I could do everything. Just I didn't have a strong arm. And I tried to get a stronger arm. There's no such thing as getting a stronger arm. Just like if you're not fast, you're not going to get faster. Yeah, you might shave 100th of a second off your 40 time. So you might go from being a 4.8 to a 4.73. Good for you. But you're not that much faster than you were before, you know. And that's a stretch, getting from a 4.8 to a 4.73. But you may be able to do that. But nobody's looking at you that much differently because you ran a 4.85 and now you're running a 4.78. You're still not that fast, you know. If you're a 4.51 guy and you can shave it down to a 4.46, good for you. That could make you some money. Absolutely. But generally speaking, if you're not fast, you're not fast. The wise man once told me, fast guys run fast, slow guys run slow. Same thing could be said for arm strength. Guys with cannons have cannons, and guys that don't. That's God-given ability. So Taylor Heineke's arm is what it is. He has to anticipate. Just because you don't have the strongest arm in the world doesn't mean that you can't be a hell of a... Peyton Manning did not have a rifle for a right arm. Far from it, okay? You know what he did? He anticipated his ass off. That's what Taylor Heineke's going to have to do. He wants to survive and thrive in the league. Juan Gotti, talking sports, writes, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." NFL football and MLB postseason. Poor Stanton. In any other ballpark, he would have had 3 home runs. When a third base coach is dumb, why send Judge? And oh yeah, Cole stinks. Everything you said is facts. I really don't have any answers for you. I'd love to tell you why he sent him. Didn't make any sense. You know the rules to the game, and he's been in, third base coaches, they've been in the game for a long time. Those are lifers. They don't just put anybody at third base. It's an important job, much more so than your first base coach. He's a token coach. Throw anybody at first base. Hell, I could go out there, put a helmet on me. I could go be your first base coach. It's not a lot involved in that. You just yell, "Back!" when they're throwing the ball over to first base. That's it. You may say, "Hey, this guy's got a wicked move. Watch your secondary," but you're not doing much as a first base coach. Third base coach is really important. Okay. That could be the difference between you winning games and losing some games. Last night, that was a big one. I don't know if the Yankees were going to win the game or not. Okay. They didn't hit well situationally last night. I didn't love some of the moves made by Brett Boone. I don't think they were going to win anyway, but you really didn't give yourself a chance by sending Judge at that moment. You really didn't give yourself a chance. So, yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, you can't get 2 innings out of your $300 and whatever $1 million ace pitcher, whatever they're paying Garrett Cole. Like, that can't happen. Not in the most important game of the season. Sorry, not sorry. Gotta play better than that. Red Wings 01 says, "Do you see Sternberger starting in front of RSJ or Bates, or is he the third guy on the depth chart? We'll see a lot of 12 personnel." Will we see a lot of 12 personnel? I don't think you're going to see any more 12 personnel than you've been seeing in the first 4 weeks of the season. That's not going to change. I'd say that we've probably seen 12 personnel, maybe 20% of the snaps, maybe 18% of the snaps in the first 4 games. on average, not a lot. Only in situations where they felt like it was advantageous to be in 12 personnel. You're probably going to see less of it now that there's no Logan Thomas. But as far as Jay Sternberger, I wouldn't be shocked. And again, I don't expect him to come in, and if they were going to go the route of we don't want Sammis Reyes to get on the field, we don't even want him to be active, they would have brought Tamarick Hemingway back. But because they didn't do that, they brought Jay Sternberger. I think he's just practice squad, right? And if they sign him to the active roster, and I got to get the particulars because I've been seeing where, we have now 5 tight ends with Logan Thomas being out 4, but we've got 5 tight ends, currently on the roster. Obviously, Logan Thomas is going to be placed on IR. That's going to give you 4 tight ends, but do you really want to address 4 tight ends? That might speak to them still not believing in Sammis Reyes. And if that's the case, why are you even making him active? Just keep him on the practice squad and elevate Jay Sternberger then. So I told you when the injury happened, I said it'll be interesting to see what they do with Sammis Reyes because, the prevailing thought by most was, hey, Sammis Reyes is going to get a chance. And then Ron, at his day after presser, said, yes, Sammis, I told him be ready, and now he's going to get an opportunity. I doubt that he's going to divulge that information to the media and then double back and say, no, he's not ready. So what are they doing? I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll find out. It's an interesting situation we find ourselves in. I loved Jay Sternberger coming out of Texas A&M. For whatever reason, he has not worked. I thought this guy was going to be a pass-catching maniac. Wasn't the greatest blocker in the world, but I thought this guy's going to be a pass-catching maniac. For whatever reason, I said he's going to Green Bay. He's going to tear it up with Aaron Rodgers, and it didn't happen. So I don't know what's going on with that guy, personally. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Keeping track of the time. Take a couple more comments, and then we'll move on to our final segment. Mike Lowry says, did they stop counting half sacks? I swear Chase combined on 2 sacks this year. No, they haven't stopped giving out half sacks. It's just that they decided to credit, the player that they gave. And I think I know exactly what 2 sacks you're talking about. The Giants game with Montez, and they gave Montez the full sack, and the Falcons game, and they gave Montez the full sack again. I don't have a problem with them just giving it to Montez. If you guys get there and meet at the quarterback, so be it. But I think Chase is arriving late on the scene. So they didn't decide to give him any of it. So, no, they're still giving out half a sacks, though, for sure. Captain Spartan says, such a busy NFL day. I forgot some of the questions I was going to ask you. You touched on some of it yesterday, but can we talk about how competitive the NFL is? Like the Eagles played the Chiefs close. It's very competitive right now, sort of like college football. There is no dominant team. The fact that we don't have an undefeated team except the Arizona Cardinals, and we all know the Cardinals aren't going undefeated, speaks volumes. I mean, every year for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a team get to 7, 8, 9, 10, and 0, right? We're not going to have that this year. I wouldn't be shocked if Arizona lost to the 49ers this week. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did. The Chiefs aren't dominant this year. The Rams, who we think might be the best team in the NFC, Tampa Bay, who might be the best team. Neither of those teams are dominant. They're good. They're really good. They're probably the class of the NFC, but neither of those teams are dominant, as we've seen already. And they're both, in Tampa's case, they're dealing with injuries. But before the injuries, that defense wasn't all that great to begin with. So the real question is and becomes, why not us? Which is why you see a team like the Panthers going out and making moves. Why not us this year? Just like in college football. Why not us? Why not Iowa this year? Okay? Why not Cincinnati this year? Hell, who's stopping us? Why not? That's how some teams are approaching it in the NFL now. Why not us? Pittsburgh stinks. The Ravens, they could easily be 1-3 right now. They're 3-1. The Chiefs are 2-2. The Seahawks are 2-2. Why not us? The Rams just got their doors blown off. Why not us? The Saints don't have Drew Brees anymore. They look like they could be iffy. Green Bay, they're winning, but who's overly impressed with the Packers right now? Not I. Why not us? Why not the Raiders this year? Why not the Chargers this year? Everybody's looking around and saying, why not us? It's a good question. Why not us? You got to have a quarterback, though. You don't have one of those. That's why not you. That's why not you. You can't play defense. That's why not you unless you have Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs can't play defense right now. But they got Patrick Mahomes. They got Tyreek Hill. They got Travis Kelce. They're hoping they have Flash Gordon. That'll give them a chance. But yeah, there aren't many dominant teams in the league right now. So that's giving everybody a chance. Got a super chat, and I'll probably take this one and then move on to our final segment. This is from Eric DeBose. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Eric, who writes, "What up, Lou? I'm late, so I'm sure it's already been discussed, but I hope we can sign Jaylon Smith. He will be hungry to get at Dallas and provide intel." I don't know about providing intel as much. I think that's overrated, but I do think he would love nothing more than to get back at the Cowboys. Now, how much? Because Dallas gave him an opportunity when no one else would. Remember, this guy blew up his knee, was going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, and went from a top 5 pick to a second-round pick. And Dallas stopped the bleeding. They stopped the slide when nobody else would guarantee him and commit to him. So that's got to mean something for him. And then not only did Dallas draft him, they also decided that, hey, we want to re-up you, man. We really love what you've done. And we want to pay you some more money. There's definitely probably a bit of gratitude there with the Cowboys, with Jaylon Smith. So I don't know if he's holding as big a grudge as, say, a Deshaun Jackson was when he left the Eagles and he had an axe to grind and he wanted back at the Eagles so badly that he was like, yo, I want to go to Washington. I don't know if that's how Jaylon Smith is feeling right now. He could be feeling that way. But he could also be like, yeah, I really appreciate that, man. I got nothing but love for them. I wish it would have ended on different terms, but I got nothing but love for the Cowboys, man. They gave me an opportunity when nobody else would. So, well, there are so many different ways to look at the situation. We'll see what happens. I'm going to just tell you right now, I don't expect him to land in Washington. I don't. So there is that. Let me read this comment from Sindeko. Sindeko. Haven't seen you in ages. Maybe you've been lurking. Maybe you haven't been around. It's just good to hear from you. He says, you are giving Matt Rule way too much credit. Our new GM has been the best thing since Steve Smith this year. Facts. Scott Fitterer has been outstanding. I will admit that. But don't think that Matt Rule doesn't have anything to do with what Scott Fitterer is doing. Don't kid yourself. Okay? Don't think Matt Rule didn't have say-so in Scott Fitterer being hired. Now, your owner has done some really good things. Let's not leave Tepper out of this whole conversation, because David Tepper has done some really good things since he's gotten to Carolina. And the first thing was hiring Matt Rule. The second thing was hiring Scott Fitterer. So, yeah, your GM, he's wheeling and dealing out here like Kevin Nealon. But Matt Rule is the basis for everything. He's the reason all of this is transpiring. So I don't think I'm giving Matt Rule too much credit. Matt Rule is the reason Joe Brady is in Carolina. I don't think I'm giving Matt Rule too much credit. I think I'm giving Matt Rule his just due. You don't go to Temple and turn Temple around. You don't go to Baylor and turn it around on accident. Where Matt Rule goes, winning follows, because he's got a philosophy and he sticks to it. And I think you're going to win in Carolina. And I already said that. Said it last year when he got there. And you were in ball games last year without Scott Fitterer. Now Scott Fitterer's come in. You had a really good draft. You're going out here and you're wheeling and dealing and you're getting guys. And I love what he's doing. Not taking anything away from Scott Fitterer. But let's not act like the foundation of everything that's happening in Carolina doesn't begin and end with Matt Rule. Because if you don't feel that way, then you're sadly mistaken. Sorry, not sorry. So let's go ahead and transition to our final segment of the show. You already know what it is. Garbage time. So I wanted to talk about some college football before we got out of here. I wanted to do this yesterday, didn't get a chance to do it, so I want to do it today. So over the weekend, it was this big week number 5 in college football, all these big time matchups. You had Ole Miss, Alabama. Lane Kiffin said, get your popcorn ready. You know it's bad when you got to apologize for making a statement as frivolous as get your popcorn ready. But that's how badly you got your ass beat that you got to apologize for getting people excited only to have your ass blown the hell out and have the game be over by halftime. You had Notre Dame against Cincinnati. That might have been the best matchup of 2 top 10 teams or a top 10 team against a team that was in the top 15. You had Georgia, Arkansas. Ugh, that's nasty. Arkansas looked like, well, Arkansas. They weren't ready for prime time. They weren't ready for the show, and that showed. I got something to say about Georgia. We'll come back to them in a second. You had Iowa going on the road against undefeated Maryland. Ooh. That lasted all about 2 quarters. What did they score? Like 30 points in the second quarter. Oh, my God. It was funny. Maryland scored like the first touchdown of the game. And all these Maryland, because, you know, I'm a Washington football team fan. So naturally, a lot of people that follow me on socials, they follow all of the local teams, Maryland being one of those teams. So naturally, I get a whole bunch of terps on the timeline. Little turtle emojis and things of that nature. And I'm smiling, I'm laughing. I'm like, I didn't expect what they got now, but I was like, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. I watched them struggle with Illinois. They're not winning. Did I see the onslaught that was to come in the second quarter? No. I literally blinked twice and it was like 45-14. Ouch. Zoinks! So they took care of business. Florida lost. That was a surprise, to Kentucky. Didn't see that one coming, but I'm not surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. I didn't see it coming, but anytime you have a quarterback situation like Florida does, you're liable to lose any game you're playing. They don't have a true guy back there. Emory Jones or whatever is that you can't win games with him consistently, not against good teams at least. So, yeah, I didn't see it coming, but I'm not surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. Yeah, out the teams that I think actually have a chance to win a national championship. So I watched Cincinnati up close and personal for the first time this year because I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I thought we could beat them. But little did I know our quarterback situation was as dire as it was. Look, we stunk, and I didn't want us to be in this national championship conversation because even though I don't think there's a dominant team in college football, we're still not good enough, and we'll never be good enough. And we'll never get a good enough quarterback to come to Notre Dame. We'll get talented football players at specific positions, and we'll have enough to compete, but we'll never get the quarterback that'll give us a chance to win because we're Notre Dame. Who wants to go to the middle of nowhere in Indiana to play football for a Catholic school? Nobody wants. You're not going to get a brother that's super talented to scorn Alabama and Florida and Georgia and all these places where it's probably fun to go to school, to go to South Bend, Indiana. And oh, by the way, you better have a 3.9 GPA too. It ain't happening. So we're going to continue to get the Tyler Buckners of the world. And we're going to have to go in the transfer portal to get Jack Cohen, who stinks. And that's why we treasure guys like Ian Book. Even though he's 6'0", solid arm, but nothing to write home about. Because we just don't get guys at Notre Dame. And all of the guys we have on the roster at quarterback stink right now. Stink. They beat us. I wasn't impressed. Cincinnati's not good. I wasn't impressed with their quarterback. I wasn't impressed with their team. Although the cornerback that has that cool nickname, what is it, Juice or Greedy or Spicy or whatever the hell his name, he actually looks like he could play some football. I just want to say this. I've watched enough college football because to me, college football is like a soap opera. I could not watch for 3 whole months and come back and watch for 10 minutes and I feel like I haven't missed an episode because they move so slow. College football, just like soap operas, are predictable. I've watched enough college football now that I can move away and come back in late November, early December, and it'll still be the same. Georgia will be undefeated. They'll be playing Alabama in the SEC championship. Those are the 2 best teams in college football. Those are the 2 best teams in college football. Did Oregon win? They were on the ropes. Did they win? Let me check. I never went back and actually checked to see if they came back and beat Stanford. As they were in a dogfight their damn selves. I think they had already come back, but it was still close. They probably did come back and win, if I had to guess. But let's find out. Let me be sure about that. I don't think they're good enough either, though. So doesn't really matter. But I still, for my own well-being, I just want to know. Nope, they lost to Stanford. So there you have that. They were number 3 in the nation. There are no dominant teams except 2. And this isn't your normal dominant Alabama, but they're good. But because the rest of college football isn't all that great, they're going to look like they're way better than everybody else. When I think this is one of those Bama teams where you're like, they're okay, I guess. They're not juggernauts. Bryce Young's good, but he's young. I'm going to tell you right now, Georgia has the best defense in the country. It's not close. They can beat anybody with that defense. Smother and suffocate anybody. That includes Alabama defensively. Georgia's that good defensively. Their problem is they don't have a quarterback. I'm scared. JT Daniels can't stay healthy. They got this other guy. Literally, I watched that game against Arkansas. And I was talking to my buddy after the game. And I said, bruh. He said, I missed the game. What happened? I said, bruh, you didn't miss a damn thing. Georgia literally ran the football like 55 times. And their quarterback might have thrown it 11 times. Might have thrown it 11 times. Might have thrown it 11 times. I said, he's like, man, stop playing. I said, I'm not bullshitting you, man. They literally ran the football on 80% of their snaps, 85% of their snaps, damn near 90%. And he went and he looked it up and he started laughing. I said, what? He says, bro, they ran it like 54 times and they threw it like 11 or 12. I said, I told you, and I hadn't counted. I'm like, I watched the game. I'm telling you. Shit was ridiculous. They don't trust their quarterbacks at all. That'll be their Achilles heel. That'll be their undoing. If they can't beat Bama in the SEC championship, it won't be because their defense wasn't good enough or they weren't up to the challenge. If they get there healthy, that could be something else that happens. If they stay relatively healthy on the defensive side of the football, Georgia is good enough to beat Alabama defensively. I don't know if their offense is good enough, though. I worry about their offense. I really, really do. To me, Georgia has the best team in college football, but if they don't have the quarterback, they won't win the national championship. But I think they've got enough talent on offense. It isn't great, but it's enough. They got a slew of running backs. They're doing a lot of this without Pickens, their wide receiver. They got stuff. I just don't know if they've got enough at the quarterback position, and that might ultimately be their undoing. But to me, they're the 2 best teams in the nation. I don't know if it's even really close. Georgia's suffocating teams with their defense. They're gonna clobber everybody in the SEC East. Nobody's gonna come close to them. And Alabama's gonna take care of everybody on the west side of the bracket. and they're going to meet, right? And they're both going to be undefeated. Somebody's going to lose. The winner of that game is going to be the number 1 seed in the college football playoffs. The loser of that game is going to be the 3 seed. They're both making it to the college football playoffs, no matter what. The loser of that game is going to be the 3 seed. And so Bama's going to get the 4 seed. They're going to clobber them. Georgia's going to get the 2 seed, because you can't make Georgia the 4 seed and make them play Bama twice in a row. Nobody wants to see that, because then you won't get the best matchup in the national championship game. So the loser of that game, whether it's Bama or Georgia, if Bama wins, Georgia will be the 3 seed. They'll clobber whoever the 2 seed is, and Bama will clobber whoever the 4 seed is, and then they'll play in the national championship game again. And vice versa. If Georgia wins, they'll be the 1 seed. Bama will be the 3 seed. Bama will clobber whoever's the 2 seed. Georgia will clobber and suffocate whoever the 4 seed is, and they'll meet in the national championship. You don't have to watch the rest of the college football season. I'll save you time. Whether it's Iowa or it's Cincinnati, or it doesn't matter who the other 2 teams are, is what I'm trying to tell you. Doesn't matter. Ohio State gets back into the conversation after the early loss. It doesn't matter. Georgia's going to suffocate whomever they're playing, and Alabama's going to outscore whoever they're playing. And the 2 will meet in the national championship game. And honestly, we'll get 2 cracks at it. We'll get it in the SEC title game, and then we'll get it again for the national championship. You heard it here first. You're welcome. I just saved you 7 weeks of unnecessary college football viewership. You can still watch if you want, but that's what's going to happen. Anyway, I digress. Got another super chat. Eric DeBose, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Who writes, never mind, Jaylon signing with Green Bay. Damn. Look, man, I told you guys he wasn't coming here. And if he really wants a chance to win, you go to Green Bay. Makes a ton of sense. He went to school at Notre Dame. He doesn't mind playing in Wisconsin, okay? He's not your typical brother, okay? He went to Notre Dame. So he doesn't mind going and playing in Green Bay. And the Packers were out here recruiting everybody. Had Gilmore been released, he would have ended up in Green Bay too. All the chips are being pushed to the middle of the table, because this is it. This is it. The last year of Rodgers. This is it. They know what time it is. All the chips are going to the middle of the table. I want to see what kind of deal he signs. I would assume it's a 1-year deal, like maybe $4.5 million. And you add that on to what he's getting from Dallas, and that's a pretty good damn payday for Jaylon Smith this year. I want to see what the deal looks like. Should be a 1-year, $5 million deal, somewhere in there, 4.5. We'll see what he signed. Captain Spartan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Captain Spartan, writes, Georgia has the most talented defense. Iowa has the most cohesive defense. Cohesive and talented. Cohesive, talented, cohesive, talented. Give me the talented defense, man. Okay. Give me the talented defense over the more cohesive defense. All right. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Iowa. I'm intrigued by Iowa, but I think they could get tripped up somewhere in the Big Ten. What's their schedule? I mean, I'm interested. What's their schedule look like? This might be one of those years where they don't have to play Ohio State. And they don't have to play Michigan. See what Iowa's schedule looks like. If they get they get Northwestern and all of these garbage ass teams, they may end up undefeated. They got Penn State this week. They could easily lose that game. So they got a soft schedule in terms of they don't have Ohio State or Michigan on the schedule this year. So Wisconsin's not good this year. This is the last time they should have a chance to slip up. Really, nobody else on the schedule is a threat. Purdue, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Minnesota, Illinois, Nebraska. They should win all those games. They'll be favored to win those games big time. They'll have to get past somebody in the Big Ten championship, more likely than not Ohio State. But let's not count Michigan out. Maybe they beat Ohio State. Maybe this is a year they finally beat Ohio State. But they'll have to beat one of those two teams in the Big Ten championship. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Now Iowa is not in the same boat as Georgia and Alabama. So let's just make that clear. They have to be undefeated. They have to be undefeated. Or they're not making it to the playoffs. They slip up one time, they get reminded quickly, you're Iowa. You're not Ohio State. You're Iowa. If Ohio State were in their position and they lost, I shouldn't say that. They would have treated Ohio State the same way. You got to go undefeated, bro. If Iowa slips up, because they won't be playing the number 1 or number 2 team in the nation like Georgia and Alabama will be. So it won't be 1 against 2. And so if you lose, like, hey, you're okay. You're good. They're going to, I don't know what Ohio State is going to be. What are they ranked right now anyway? They got to be approaching the top 10 again, right? They got to be somewhere around, 11, 10, 9, somewhere in that general vicinity, right? Let's see where they are. They're 11. Okay, so that sounds about right. They're 11. They'll creep back into the top 10. Notre Dame just lost. Oregon just lost. They'll be like 7 this week. 6 or 7 will Ohio State. They'll jump into the top 10. They'll be in the mix. So you know what? The winner of that Big Ten championship, again, assuming they beat Penn State, they could lose this week. Could Iowa? And Penn State's 5. So the winner of that game is going to be in the driver's seat. But Penn State still has to play Ohio State. That's the difference. Is that Penn State, they're not in the soft part of the Big Ten. They got to play Ohio State. They got to play Michigan too, I believe. Like Penn State doesn't get any, they don't get any weeks off. Let me see what Penn State is talking about. Because I'm pretty sure they got both of those teams on their schedule. They usually play both of those teams every single year. So let me take a look, see. Matter of fact, let's just go to week 6 because both of those two teams play each other. Here we go. Penn State is 4. Iowa is 3. And they got Ohio State. There's Penn State in 3 weeks from now. And then they got Michigan 2 weeks after that. So, yeah, they're not going to be undefeated. They're going to lose to one of those two teams, if not to Iowa. So it'd be in the Big Ten's best interest if Iowa won this game because they're going to go undefeated. If Penn State wins this game, they knock off Iowa. Iowa's no longer a viable threat for the playoffs. And then Penn State's going to go on to lose to Ohio State or Michigan or both. And then you're in a situation where nobody respects the Big Ten again. So the Big Ten wants Iowa to win. They want to set up this massive Big Ten championship between, Iowa and Ohio State or Iowa and Michigan. And then the winner of that game will more likely than not be in the playoffs. That's what they want. But if everybody's got a loss and it ends up being Ohio State, a 1-loss Ohio State, and a no-loss Iowa, and the 1-loss Ohio State wins, they may get in because the rest of the college football landscape stinks. But they much rather have an undefeated Iowa or Penn State in the mix. We'll see. Ohio State's the biggest draw in the Big Ten, so we'll see. There's no way Penn State gets through that schedule undefeated. I just don't see it. So they're probably hoping that Iowa wins this game. But we'll see. Like I said, all of that stuff to me is background noise. Because when it's all said and done, it's going to be Georgia and Alabama for the national championship. So whether it's Penn State or it's Iowa or it's Ohio State or it's Michigan, somebody's just coming to the playoffs to get slaughtered. Who you want to get it done by? Alabama or Georgia? That's pretty much what you're fighting over. You want to be the 4 seed or the 2 seed? That's essentially what you're fighting over. You're getting done in either way. So I digress. Anyway, got one more super chat and that'll take us out of here. 99 Problems, Chase ain't one. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, 99 Chase. Or 99 Problems, Chase ain't one writes. That Space Jam toy, laughing my ass off. Classic Lou, you a funny guy. So you remember that toy. Let's play some basketball. I really enjoy playing with you guys. Let's play some basketball. I used to remix it, so I would hit it over and over again. Let's play some basketball. I really enjoy playing with you guys. Anyway, I digress, man. You guys take care, man. Thank you for joining me here on the 210th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. If you're out there and you haven't already done so, please do the kid a huge favor and hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already blessed it already. I'm going to thank you in advance for doing so. Really appreciate y'all chopping it up with the kid today on the pod. And we'll do it again on Friday. If you're a Washington fan, I'll see you later on tonight for Washington Football Nightly. If not, then I'll see you guys on Thursday night. If you're a football fan, for Thursday night football, we got a good one. We got a dandy. And that was supposed to be my garbage time originally, was our Thursday night look ahead. Thursday night football look ahead, which I guess I could quickly do that. It's a big game. 3-1 Rams at the 2-2 Seahawks. The Rams have historically had the Seahawks number. Even when the Seahawks were dominant at home, which they are no longer dominant at home, even when they were dominant at home and they were winning all those ball games every year, the Rams were the one team that had no problems getting to Russell Wilson and flustering him and forcing him into mistakes and sacking him a bunch of times. Hell, we saw it last year in the playoffs. Who thought with a four-fingered Jared Goff, the Rams were going to stroll into Seattle and win? But that's what they did. Why? Because they did the thing that they always do, and that's harass Russell Wilson, make him uncomfortable, and score enough points and win. I could see the Rams doing that. They're embarrassed. That was a tough loss to stomach last week. And it was just simply a lack of execution. It wasn't like the Cardinals just stuck their dick in the dirt, which they ultimately did. But a lot of it was the Rams had opportunities and they just missed. Missed a field goal. Cooper Kupp's running down the seam for a touchdown, missed him. Deshaun Jackson's behind the defense, missed him, interception. They just missed a bunch of opportunities. Meanwhile, Seattle was struggling with the 49ers and didn't get their first down of the game until 4:40 left in the second quarter. I don't know about Seattle, man. This is a big spot for them. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to look at the injury reports for both teams, see what's going on. I haven't decided what the hell I'm going to do yet because Seattle needs this one in the worst way. I just don't know if they're good enough to get it, though. I haven't been overly impressed with what they've done this season. I don't know, man. But the Rams, after last week, I'm looking at them a little differently. Like, hey, you got away with missing some shit against Tampa because Tampa's secondary stinks. Cardinals secondary doesn't stink. But you didn't get away with it this time. Are you going to get away with it this week if you missed some shit? I'm not sure. So we're going to see. But that's my Thursday night look ahead. You'll know which team I'm picking. I'll post that on socials before the game. Tentatively, I'm going with the Rams. That's subject to change, though. Be on the lookout for my pick so you'll know who I had. And I'll give you a score on socials before the game gets kicked off. But right now, tentatively, I'm going with the Rams. So anyway, that'll do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 210th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. You guys know what it is. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys take care. Have a good one.
LouieTeeNetwork.